"Sir, my mom can't hear me. Can you fix this?" said Lil Girl to technician. He froze at what he saw. Vincent Reyes had come to terms with being alone. After losing his wife and daughter in a tragic car accident, he shut himself off from the world. No attachments, no risks, just silence. That was his life. Until the day a 6-year-old girl walked into his repair shop, holding a broken hearing aid and a notebook that read, "Sir, my mom can't hear me. Can you fix this?" He thought he was just fixing a device. He didn't realize he was about to mend something even more fragile, his own heart. But just when life seemed to be offering him a second chance, fate delivered a cruel blow. What happened next left him frozen, uncertain whether he was living in the present or trapped in a nightmare from his past. Stay with us until the end of today's story to find out, and don't forget to let us know which country you're listening from. Please subscribe to our channel. Vincent Reyes wasn't someone people easily approached. He lived a quiet life behind a dusty old record shop in Austin, Texas, where he repaired radios most had long stopped using. Once upon a time, he was one of the most respected audio engineers in the music world. But everything changed in a single night. A car crash took away his wife and daughter instantly. Vincent survived, but he never forgave himself. The brakes had failed, but deep down, he blamed himself. He had been mixing a track. Just 5 more minutes, he told himself. 5 minutes that cost him everything. Years went by. Silence became his safe place. Regret, his constant companion. Until one humid afternoon, she could barely see over the counter. In one hand, she held a cracked hearing aid. In the other, a spiral notebook. The note said, "Sir, my mom can't hear me anymore. Can you fix this?" Behind her stood her mother, tired, silent, and clearly deaf. Her name was Elena Brooks. The little girl was Ava, 6 years old, full of life, and already fluent in a language that didn't require sound. Vincent looked at the broken hearing aid, then into Ava's hopeful eyes. He gave a gentle nod. "I can try." As he worked, Ava chatted nonstop about her mom, her favorite songs, and an upcoming family showcase day at school. "Everyone's bringing someone. I don't have anyone. Maybe you could come." He didn't know what made him say yes, but he did. At Pease Elementary, Vincent showed up in his usual worn-out flannel, feeling awkward and completely out of place. But the moment Ava spotted him, her whole face lit up. "This is Mr. Vincent," she told the class proudly. "He made sound come back for my mom." That evening, Vincent found himself sitting on Elena's porch. She sat across from him, her phone glowing softly in her lap, fingers resting on the screen, ready to type. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable, just heavy, full of things neither of them had said out loud before. Finally, Vincent broke the stillness, his voice low and gravelly. "I lost my family in a car crash, my wife and daughter." He paused, swallowing against the lump rising in his throat. "I was late, caught up in the studio working on a mix. Told myself 5 more minutes. They waited. I called as they were leaving. They took the shortcut home. I never saw them again." Elena's fingers froze on her screen. "They said the brakes failed," he continued. "Said it was quick, no pain, but I've replayed it 1,000 times. What if I'd left earlier? What if they hadn't taken that road? What if I'd shut down like I promised?" His voice broke. "People said I was lucky to survive, but I didn't feel lucky. I felt punished." Elena slowly began typing. Then she passed him the phone. The words on the screen glowed. "You were late. I was left. Maybe that's why we found each other." Vincent read the message twice, then looked up at her. For the first time in years, the tightness in his chest eased. 2 people, different griefs, different silences. But in that moment, something between them finally made a little sound. A few days later, Elena and Ava left for Ava's school recital. Vincent was supposed to meet them there, just a little later. He never made it. His phone rang. A voice on the other end. "Sir, there's been an accident. A car lost control. Brake failure. Elena Brooks and her daughter have been struck on the sidewalk." Vincent's world stopped. It was happening again. The same tragedy. The same cruel setup. Vincent's knees buckled. His breath caught. For a terrifying moment, he couldn't tell if he was living in the present or being dragged back into the worst night of his life. Was fate mocking him? Somehow he forced himself into the car and drove like a ghost to Delaton Medical Center. When he arrived, the first thing he saw was Elena's handbag lying on a gurney in the hallway. His legs gave out. "It should have been me. Again," he sobbed. "Not them. Not again." And just as he thought he was about to lose everything all over again, a doctor approached. "They're alive," he said gently. "Some broken bones, but no internal damage. However, Ava's sustained some trauma to her temporal lobe. She'll experience partial hearing loss." Vincent collapsed into a chair, his face buried in his hands. Relief and heartbreak wrestled inside his chest. When he finally stepped into the hospital room, unsure of what he'd find, Ava looked up at him. She was bruised, her arm in a sling, but awake. She smiled faintly and mouthed, "You came." Then she raised her small hands and signed, "Now I'm like you and Mom. I get to use hand signs too. That makes us a family, right?" Vincent couldn't hold back the tears. He gently pulled her into his arms, overwhelmed by the innocence of her words and the quiet, profound bond they now shared. From her hospital bed, Elena watched, her tears flowing silently. "I'm not leaving either of you," Vincent whispered. "You're my family now." But peace didn't last long. Just as Elena and Ava began to heal, a storm walked through the hospital doors, dressed in a tailored suit and a frown sharp enough to cut glass. Arthur Langston, Elena's estranged father. "I'm filing for custody," he declared coldly. "This is no place for a child, raised by a deaf woman and a washed-up repairman. Ava deserves better." They went to court. Arthur painted Elena as unfit. He accused Vincent of playing house with a broken past. He pointed to Ava's new hearing loss as evidence of instability. Then the judge turned to Ava. She stood, her small body trembling, but her voice steady. She looked straight at the judge. "My mom and Mr. Vincent hear me with their hearts," she said. She paused. "Grandpa doesn't like deaf people, and now I can't hear much either. So I think he doesn't like me anymore either." The courtroom fell into stunned silence. The judge leaned forward, her tone calm but firm. "This court finds no evidence that removing this child would benefit her well-being. On the contrary, the love, stability, and support she receives from her mother and Mr. Reyes is exceptional. Disability is not a disqualification for love. Custody remains with Miss Brooks." Arthur turned and walked out without a word. In the months that followed, Vincent transformed the back of the record shop into something extraordinary. Echo and Light, a weekend workshop where children, especially those with hearing challenges, could feel sound through vibration, light, movement, and joy. Elena began teaching sign language through interactive storytelling and design. And Ava? Ava was the heartbeat of every room she entered, bright, curious, and unapologetically herself. One rainy Saturday evening, Vincent came home, his flannel damp, his boots caked in mud. The house was warm, alive with the soft hum of an old record spinning in the background. As he set his keys on the counter, something on the fridge caught his eye. A crayon drawing, slightly crooked, taped with care. 3 stick figures stood beneath a golden sun, one tall with a bushy beard, one with curly hair, and one small figure with a bright purple hearing aid proudly drawn on one ear. Above it, in careful block letters, Ava had written, "We talk with our hands. We listen with our hearts. That makes us a real family." Vincent stared at the picture, his throat tightening. He traced the crayon lines with his eyes like they were etched in gold. Behind him, he heard soft footsteps on the tile. He turned, knelt, and without a word, wrapped Ava in a long, steady hug. "You fixed me first, kid," he whispered into her hair, voice cracking. Ava hugged him tighter. From the hallway, Elena watched, tears streaming down her cheeks, but smiling. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. They never had to say the word family again. They simply became one. And through all the noise, all the silence, all the brokenness, that was more than enough. Because sometimes life doesn't give you a chance to erase the past. It gives you something better, a chance to choose love in the present. If you were given a second shot, not at what you lost, but at what you could become, would you take it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you for being part of Storyline Narratives.